"You're not my daughter anymore." My mother's voice carried across the hospital waiting room. 20 people turned to stare. Nurses paused mid-step. A security guard looked over from his post by the elevator. I stood there holding my purse, feeling my face burn. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed softly. Someone's phone rang in the distance. The world kept moving like my mother hadn't just disowned me in front of strangers. My sister Victoria sat in a wheelchair beside her, pale but triumphant. My father stood behind them both, his face hard and cold. "All we asked was for you to do one thing," my mother continued. "One thing for your sister. And you refuse. You're selfish. You're cruel. And you are no daughter of mine." What they didn't know was that I'd been waiting for this moment, preparing for it. And I was ready. My name is Emma Catherine Wells, and I am 28 years old. I live in Portland, Oregon, where I work as a senior software engineer for a tech company called Vertex Solutions. I've been part of the Morrison family since they adopted me when I was 4 years old. For 24 years, I've been the backup daughter. The consolation prize? The one they kept around because it looked good to have adopted a child. But that was about to end in the most spectacular way possible. My sister Victoria was everything they wanted. 3 years older than me, charming, beautiful, and absolutely worshipped by our parents. She could do no wrong. I could do no right. When I was 10, I placed second in the state spelling bee. I studied for 6 months. Memorized thousands of words. Made it further than any student from our school ever had. My mother looked at the silver medal and said, "Second place is just first loser." Then she asked what time Victoria's piano recital started. They left 15 minutes later. I took the bus home alone and put my medal in a drawer where it stayed for the next 18 years. Victoria got a grand piano for her 16th birthday. White lacquer, custom ordered from Germany. The delivery alone cost $3,000. When I turned 16, I got a $50 gift card to Barnes & Noble and a lecture about being grateful for what I had. My mother reminded me that adoption wasn't cheap and I should appreciate their sacrifice. Victoria went to private university on my parents' dime. They paid $60,000 a year for tuition, bought her a car, furnished her apartment, gave her a credit card with no limit for emergencies. I went to state school on student loans. I worked 30 hours a week at a coffee shop to cover rent and food. When I asked my parents for help buying a laptop for my computer science classes, my father said I needed to learn financial responsibility. When Victoria graduated with a 2.7 GPA and no job prospects, they threw a party for 80 people, rented a venue, had it catered, made speeches about her bright future. When I graduated summa cum laude with a 4.0 and a job offer already lined up, I got a text from my mother. It said, "Congrats, hun." They didn't come to my graduation. Victoria had a hair appointment that day. Apparently that was more important. The cruelest thing my father ever said to me came when I was 23. I'd just landed my first major promotion, junior engineer to mid-level in 2 years. My boss said it was the fastest progression she'd ever seen. I mentioned it at Sunday dinner. Tried to keep my voice casual. Tried not to sound like I was bragging. My father didn't even look up from his plate. He said, "That's nice, Emma. Victoria, your mother and I have been talking. We want to invest in your boutique idea." They gave Victoria $80,000 to open a clothing store. Money she lost within 18 months. I learned to make myself invisible, to not expect anything, to bury my hurt so deep that maybe it would stop aching. It never did. The kidney situation started 6 months ago. Victoria got diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease, both kidneys failing. She needed a transplant. The whole family got tested as potential donors. My father wasn't a match. My mother had high blood pressure that disqualified her. My brother Daniel was ruled out because of a childhood illness. That left me. The doctor called me into his office on a Tuesday afternoon, Dr. Richard Chen. He'd been handling Victoria's care since her diagnosis. "You're a perfect match," he said. 6 out of 6 antigens. It's rare to see compatibility this good outside of identical twins. I sat in the chair across from his desk and felt my stomach drop. What does that mean? I asked. It means you'd be an ideal donor. The transplant would have the highest possible chance of success. He slid a packet of information across the desk. Donor procedures, recovery times, risks and benefits. Take your time reviewing this, he said. There's no pressure. Being a living donor is a serious decision. I took the packet home. Read every page. Then I did my own research. Spent hours reading medical journals, donor testimonials, long-term outcome studies. The surgery itself was major. They'd remove one of my kidneys through a 6-inch incision. Recovery was 6 to 8 weeks. Possible complications included bleeding, infection, blood clots, pneumonia. Long-term risks included high blood pressure, decreased kidney function, and a 30% higher risk of kidney failure later in life. I'd be left with one kidney for the rest of my life. Any future injury or illness to that kidney would put me on a transplant list myself. It wasn't a simple decision. It was permanent and life-altering. I called Dr. Chen back 3 days later. I need more time, I said. This is a big decision, and I want to be sure. Of course, he said. Take all the time you need, and Emma, remember that you have the right to say no, for any reason, even no reason at all. His words stuck with me. You have the right to say no. I'd never said no to my family before, never refused them anything, never stood up for myself. But this was my body, my health, my future. I scheduled an appointment with my own doctor. Dr. Sarah Martinez had been my physician for 5 years. I trusted her. Walk me through the reality, I said. Not the best case scenario, the actual reality. She didn't sugarcoat it. You'll be in significant pain for weeks. You'll miss at least 6 weeks of work, possibly more. You'll have permanent scarring. You'll need to avoid contact sports, be careful with certain medications, and monitor your remaining kidney function for the rest of your life. She leaned forward. Emma, I need to ask you something. Do you want to do this? My sister needs a kidney. That's not what I asked. Do you, Emma Wells, want to donate your kidney? I opened my mouth to say yes. To be the good daughter, the selfless sister. The word wouldn't come. I don't know, I whispered. Dr. Martinez nodded. Then your answer is no? You don't do something this major when you don't know. You only do it when you're absolutely certain. She wrote something on her notepad. If you need a medical excuse, I can provide one. But Emma, you don't need an excuse. You're allowed to say no because you don't want to. That's reason enough. I walked out of her office feeling like the ground had shifted under my feet. The family meeting was scheduled for Sunday dinner. Everyone would be there to discuss the transplant timeline. I drove to my parents' house in northeast Portland, the neighborhood they'd lived in for 30 years. Big houses, manicured lawns, the kind of street where everyone knew everyone. I parked in the driveway and sat for a moment. My hands were shaking. You have the right to say no. I walked inside. They were all in the dining room already. Mom, Dad, Daniel, and Victoria. A chair was waiting for me at the end of the table. There she is, my mother said brightly. Our hero. Victoria smiled at me. It didn't reach her eyes. Emma, I can't thank you enough for doing this. You're saving my life. We're so proud of you, my father added. Finally stepping up for the family. Finally stepping up. Like I'd been shirking responsibility my whole life. Like I hadn't been begging for scraps of their approval since I was 4 years old. We've already talked to Dr. Chen, my mother continued. The surgery is scheduled for March 15th. That gives us 6 weeks to prepare. I'll be staying here during your recovery, Victoria said. So I can take care of you. It's the least I can do. They had it all planned out, scheduled, decided. No one had asked me if I'd made a decision. They'd just assumed. I'm not doing it, I said. The room went silent. What? My mother asked. I'm not donating my kidney. Victoria's face went white. What do you mean you're not doing it? You're a perfect match. I know. And I'm still saying no. My father stood up. Emma, this isn't a joke. Your sister needs this transplant. I understand that. But it's my body. And my answer is no. My mother's shock was transforming into anger. I could see it in the tightness of her jaw, the flush spreading up her neck. "You're being selfish," she said. "Maybe I am. She's your sister. She'll die without this. She'll go on the transplant list like every other person who needs a kidney. She'll wait her turn." Victoria started crying. Loud, dramatic sobs, the kind she'd used since childhood to get whatever she wanted. "How can you do this to me?" she wailed. "I thought you loved me." "This isn't about love. This is about a major medical decision that will affect the rest of my life. And I'm not comfortable with it." My father's face was red now. "Not comfortable? Your sister is dying and you're not comfortable?" "The mortality risk for living kidney donors is 0.03%, Daniel said quietly. He'd been silent until now. "That's 3 in 10,000. Emma has a higher chance of dying in a car accident on the way to the hospital." "Stay out of this," my father snapped. "I'm just saying the risk to Emma is minimal compared to the benefit to Victoria." I looked at my brother. Sweet, passive Daniel who'd watched them treat me like garbage for 24 years and never said a word. "The statistics don't matter," I said. "It's still my choice." My mother stood up. Her chair scraped against the hardwood floor. "You came into this family with nothing. We gave you everything, a home, a name, opportunities. And this is how you repay us?" "You didn't give me everything," I said quietly. "You gave me leftovers. How dare you?" "It's true. You gave Victoria everything she wanted and gave me whatever was left. I'm not ungrateful for having a home. But let's not pretend I was ever actually part of this family." Victoria's sobs got louder. "This is unbelievable. I need a kidney and you're making this about your hurt feelings?" "My hurt feelings?" I felt something inside me crack. "You don't know the first thing about my feelings." "None of you do." "Because you never tell us," my mother said. "I tried, for years, but you never listened." My father moved toward me. His voice was low and hard. "You will do this transplant. You will save your sister's life, and you will stop being a selfish brat about it." "No. Emma, so help me. No, I'm not doing it." "You can't force me. You can't guilt me." My answer is no. My mother's face twisted into something I'd never seen before. Pure rage, pure hatred. "Then you're not my daughter anymore." The words hung in the air. "Fine," I said. "Fine," she repeated. "That's all you have to say? You were never really my mother anyway. You just played one when it was convenient." I picked up my purse and walked toward the door. "If you leave now, you're out," my father said. "Out of this family. Out of the will. Out of everything. Don't come crawling back later." I stopped at the door. Turned back. "I've been out of this family my whole life. You just never noticed." I walked out and got in my car. My hands were still shaking, but my head was clear. I'd done it. I'd finally said no. Behind me, through the dining room window, I could see my mother on the phone. Probably calling relatives, spreading her version of the story. I drove home to my apartment in Southeast Portland. 1 bedroom, nothing fancy but mine. By the time I got there, my phone was exploding. 62 text messages, 23 missed calls. 9 voicemails. The messages came in waves. First, confusion. "Daniel, where did you go?" "Mom is freaking out." My Aunt Linda, "Your mother just called." "Is this true? You're refusing to help Victoria?" Second, disappointment. My Uncle Frank, "I thought you were better than this, Emma." My cousin Sarah, "Wow, just wow. Family is supposed to be there for each other." Third, anger. Victoria, "I hope you can live with yourself when I'm dead." My mother, "You are dead to me. Dead. Do you understand?" My father, "Clean out your room. Anything left after Sunday goes in the trash." Fourth, manipulation. My mother, "I'm in the hospital. Chest pains. The stress of what you've done. Are you happy now?" Victoria, "The doctor says I have 6 months. Maybe less. But sure, you take your time thinking about it." Fifth, gaslighting. My Aunt Linda, "You know how your mother is. She says things she doesn't mean." Just apologize and donate the kidney. This will all blow over. Daniel, can't you just do it? For peace in the family? It's not that big of a deal. I read every message, every voicemail. Let them wash over me. Not one person asked why I said no. Not one person asked how I was feeling. Not one person considered that, maybe, just maybe, I had valid reasons. They wanted me to fall in line, to be the good daughter, to sacrifice myself so everyone else could be comfortable. I turned off my phone and went to bed. What my family didn't know was that my life wasn't what they thought it was. 3 months earlier, I'd been promoted to senior software engineer at Vertex Solutions. The salary was $145,000 a year, more than triple what I'd made at my first job. I'd also just gotten a signing bonus for a consulting contract with a major tech company, $75,000 for 6 months of part-time work. I owned my apartment outright. Bought it 2 years ago when the market dipped. It was worth $80,000 more than I'd paid. I had a retirement account worth $212,000. Stock options worth another $150,000. Savings that would carry me through a year without work if necessary. At 28 years old, I had a net worth of just over $500,000. And I'd earned every penny myself. When Victoria got her first real job at 25, making $38,000 a year as a marketing assistant, my parents took her to Hawaii to celebrate. Week-long vacation. 5-star resort. When I got my first engineering job at 22, making $65,000, I mentioned it at dinner. My father said, "Good. Now you can start paying us back for all those years we supported you." They never knew about the promotions after that. Never knew about the raises, the bonuses, the stock options. I stopped telling them about my achievements when I realized it didn't matter. They either ignored them or found ways to make them about Victoria. So I built my life quietly, in the spaces where they never looked. My best friend Jessica knew. She'd been there through all of it. Watched me work myself to exhaustion while my family dismissed everything I did. She called me the morning after I refused the transplant. "I heard," she said. "Your Aunt Linda called my mom. The family phone tree is on fire." "I bet." "How are you doing?" I sat on my couch looking out at the Portland skyline. Rain was starting to fall. "I'm okay," I said. And I meant it. "Do you want to talk about it?" "Not really. I just want to move forward." "Good. Because you did the right thing, Emma. Your body, your choice. Period." 3 days later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Emma Wells?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes? This is Margaret Morrison. Your grandmother." I almost dropped the phone. My father's mother. Wealthy, powerful, and someone I'd met maybe 5 times in my entire life. "Mrs. Morrison," I said carefully. "I heard about the kidney situation." My stomach sank. "I can explain. You don't need to explain anything to me. I called to say I support your decision. Completely." I sat down. "You do?" "Your father called me yesterday. Gave me his version of events. Then I called Dr. Chen and got the medical facts. Then I called several people who were at that family meeting. I wanted the full picture." She paused. "I also reviewed some things I've been watching for years. The way they treat you versus Victoria. I've seen it at every holiday, every family gathering. I kept hoping they'd change. But they haven't." "I don't understand," I said. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you need to know someone sees it." "Someone sees you." Her words hit harder than I expected. "Someone sees you. Your body is yours, Emma. You don't owe it to anyone. Not even family. Especially not family who's treated you the way they have." We talked for an hour. She asked about my life, my work, my plans. Actually listened to the answers. Before she hung up, she said something I'd never forget. "Your worth isn't determined by how useful you are to people who should love you unconditionally. Remember that." 2 weeks after I refused the transplant, I got an email at work. Subject line: Opportunity, lead engineer position. Vertex Solutions was opening a new division. Artificial intelligence development. They wanted me to lead it. The position came with a salary of $210,000 a year. Equity in the company, a team of 15 engineers. At 28, I'd be the youngest lead engineer in company history. I read the email 3 times. Then I called my boss. "Is this real?" I asked. "Completely real," she said. "You've earned it, Emma. Your work on the last 3 projects was exceptional. We want you leading this division." I accepted on the spot. The company sent out a press release the next day. My LinkedIn exploded with congratulations, former colleagues, industry connections, people I'd worked with for years. I got messages from recruiters at Google, Amazon, Microsoft, people saying they'd heard about my promotion and wanted to talk. I knew my family would see it. They were all connected to me on LinkedIn. Victoria saw it within hours. I know because her best friend liked and commented on my post. Neither Victoria nor my parents said a word. Not a text. Not a call. Not even a simple congratulations. The silence was its own message. 4 weeks after I refused the transplant, Victoria found a kidney donor, a deceased donor match through the National Registry. She had the transplant on a Thursday. Successful surgery. Good prognosis. I heard through Daniel, who texted me the update. Victoria had her transplant. Everything went well. Thought you should know. I was glad she got a kidney. I didn't want her to die. I just wasn't willing to sacrifice my body for someone who'd treated me like garbage my entire life. I sent flowers to the hospital, signed the card, wishing you a full recovery. My mother sent them back. The card had one word written on it. Rejected. The irony wasn't lost on me. 6 weeks after the transplant, my parents called a family meeting. Daniel texted me about it. They want to talk, all of us. Says it's important. Will you come? I thought about saying no, maintaining my boundaries, protecting my peace, but part of me wanted closure. Wanted to look them in the eye one more time. I'll be there, I said. We met at their house on a Sunday afternoon. The same dining room where I'd refused the transplant. I arrived last. Walked in to find them all seated. Mom, Dad, Victoria, Daniel. Victoria looked healthy. Color back in her cheeks. The transplant had worked. "Emma?" my mother said. Her voice was cold. "Sit down." I stayed standing. "I'm fine here." "We need to discuss your behavior," my father said. "My behavior," I repeated. "The way you've treated this family. The things you've said. The accusations you've made." I almost laughed. "You called me here to lecture me?" "You owe your sister an apology," my mother said. "What you put her through during the worst time of her life was cruel." I put her through something? I said no to major surgery. That's not cruelty. That's a boundary. Victoria spoke for the first time. You made everything about yourself. My health crisis became all about your feelings. My feelings? Now I did laugh. When have any of you ever cared about my feelings? Here we go again, my father muttered. The victim routine. Something inside me snapped. You want to talk about victims? Let's talk about facts instead. I pulled out my phone. I'd been documenting for weeks, taking screenshots, saving messages. When I was 8, I made the honor roll for the first time. Straight A's. You told me honor roll was the minimum expectation and I shouldn't expect praise for doing what was required. I looked at Victoria. When you made honor roll 2 years later with 3 B's, they threw you a pizza party. My mother waved her hand dismissively. That's not how it happened. I have the photos. The elementary school newsletter. Want to see them? I scrolled to the next note. When I was 15, I won a coding competition. Beat 200 other students. The prize was a $1,000 scholarship. You didn't come to the award ceremony. You were at Victoria's volleyball tournament. She didn't even play that day. My father's jaw tightened. When I was 18, I got accepted to 4 universities, all with scholarship offers. You told me state school was good enough for someone like me. You didn't want me getting above my raising. I looked at Victoria again. But you paid $60,000 a year for Victoria to go to private university, where she partied for 4 years and barely graduated. We don't have to listen to this, my mother said. No, you don't. You can ask me to leave. But you called me here. So I'm going to speak. I stood up straighter. For 24 years, you've treated me like an obligation, like someone you had to tolerate. Every achievement I earned was ignored. Every milestone dismissed. Every time I needed support, I got lectures about gratitude. My voice was steady, calm. I wasn't yelling, wasn't crying. I was just telling the truth. Do you know what I do for a living, Dad? He blinked. You work with computers. I'm a senior software engineer, soon to be lead engineer. Do you know what that means? Silence. Mom, when's my birthday? June something, she said uncertainly. April 22nd. You've missed it or gotten it wrong for the last 6 years. I turned to Victoria. You called me selfish for not giving you my kidney. But you didn't ask. None of you asked. You demanded. You assumed. You scheduled surgery without my consent. Because we knew you'd do the right thing, Victoria said. The right thing. Tell me, Victoria, what have you ever sacrificed for me? She opened her mouth, closed it. I can't think of anything either. I put my phone away. Here's what you need to understand. I didn't refuse the transplant because I don't care about you. I refused because giving you my kidney wouldn't have changed anything. You still would have treated me like I was less than. Like I didn't matter. That's not true, my mother said. Really? Name one thing you've celebrated about me in the last 5 years. One achievement. One accomplishment. The silence stretched. You can't, because you don't see me. You never have. I picked up my purse. Victoria got her kidney. She's healthy. That's good. I'm happy for her. But I'm done trying to earn love from people who were never going to give it. If you walk out that door, you're walking out for good, my father said. I know. We'll remove you from the will. I don't need your money. I have my own. My mother stood up. How dare you speak to us this way after everything we've done for you? Everything you've done for me? You took in a 4-year-old child and treated her like a second-class citizen for 24 years. That's what you did for me. I walked to the door. Wait, Daniel said. He'd been quiet the whole time. Emma, don't go like this. Why not? Because we're family. Family takes care of each other, Daniel. Family shows up. Family doesn't keep score and demand payment. You all failed at being family a long time ago. I opened the door. One more thing. I got promoted. Lead engineer. $210,000 a year. Youngest person in company history to make lead. I'm also being featured in Tech Weekly magazine next month. Profile on women in engineering. I looked at each of them. I know you won't congratulate me. You didn't congratulate me for any of the other promotions, the awards, the achievements. But I wanted you to know anyway. I wanted you to know exactly what you lost when you decided I wasn't worth loving. I walked out, got in my car, drove away. This time I knew I'd never come back. The aftermath was swift and brutal. My parents removed me from their will within a week. Daniel told me. I didn't care. They told extended family I'd abandoned Victoria during her health crisis, that I was selfish and cruel. The family phone tree lit up with my character assassination. Some relatives believed them, blocked me on social media, sent me messages about my moral failures. Others reached out quietly. My Uncle Frank, my cousin Rachel, people who'd seen the favoritism over the years. We should have said something, Uncle Frank told me. We saw how they treated you. We just didn't want to cause family drama. I appreciated the sentiment. But it was too late for should-haves. Victoria's marriage fell apart 3 months later. Her husband Marcus filed for divorce. I heard through mutual friends that he'd been having doubts for years. The kidney situation was just the final straw. The way Victoria had acted, the entitlement, the demands, it had shown him who she really was. The divorce wasn't friendly. Marcus hired an aggressive attorney. Victoria had to get a job. A real job, not the boutique business my parents funded. She found work as a marketing coordinator making $42,000 a year. For the first time in her life, she had to support herself. My parents' financial situation deteriorated quickly. My father's business had been struggling for years. They'd been using savings and credit to maintain appearances. Without my father's income from a contract that fell through, they couldn't keep up. They downsized, sold the big house in Northeast Portland, moved to a small townhouse in Gresham. My mother had to go back to work after 20 years of staying home. She got a job at a medical office doing administrative work. The lifestyle they'd maintained, the image they'd projected, it all crumbled. Daniel tried to stay neutral, tried to maintain relationships with everyone. It destroyed his marriage. His wife Ashley told him to pick a side, support his family's cruelty or stand up for what was right. He couldn't choose. So she chose for him. They separated. Then divorced. Daniel blamed me, sent me a long email about how I'd torn the family apart, how everything fell apart after I refused the kidney. I didn't respond. His problems weren't my fault. I'd just stopped enabling their dysfunction. 6 months after I walked out of that final family meeting, my life had completely transformed. I moved into a new apartment. 2 bedrooms in the Pearl District, floor-to-ceiling windows, view of the river. The kind of place I'd dreamed about but never thought I'd afford. I could afford it easily now. Work consumed me in the best way, leading the AI division, building something groundbreaking. My team was talented and driven. We were doing work that mattered. Tech Weekly published the feature article, 3-page spread with photos. They called me an emerging leader in artificial intelligence development. My parents never saw it. We had no contact, but other people did. The article led to speaking invitations, conference panels, consulting opportunities. I was building a reputation based on my skills, not my family connections, not my willingness to sacrifice, just my work. I started dating, slowly, carefully, learning to trust again. I met Christopher at a tech conference. He was a product manager at a different company. Kind, funny, genuinely interested in who I was. When I finally told him about my family, he didn't minimize it. Didn't tell me to forgive them or suggest I was overreacting. He said, "That sounds incredibly painful. I'm sorry you experienced that." That simple validation meant everything. I built friendships with people who actually cared. My coworker Lisa became one of my closest friends. We got coffee every week, talked about everything. She knew my whole story and never once suggested I owed my family anything. My neighbor, an elderly woman named Patricia, became a grandmother figure. We had tea on Sunday afternoons. She taught me to garden, told me stories about her life. She said something once that stuck with me. Family is who shows up. Blood doesn't make family. Behavior does. I volunteered with a program for kids in foster care, helped them with homework, taught coding classes, gave them someone who believed in them. I saw myself in every one of them. That hunger for approval, that fear of not being enough. I told them what no one told me. You are enough, exactly as you are. Don't let anyone make you small. 1 year after refusing the kidney transplant, I woke up on a Saturday morning and realized something. I hadn't thought about my family in days, maybe weeks. They'd consumed so much of my mental space for so long. Every decision filtered through their potential judgment. Now, they were just people I used to know. The power they'd held over me was gone. I sat on my balcony with coffee, watching the river. Sunlight sparkled on the water. Joggers passed by on the waterfront trail below. I felt at peace. Not because I'd destroyed them. Not because they'd suffered. Because I'd built something beautiful that they could never touch. They tried to reach me eventually. 13 months after I walked out, my mother sent a letter. Cream-colored stationery with her monogram. Dear Emma, I know we've had our differences. I know I haven't been perfect. But I'm your mother. And I miss you. Can we please talk? Life is too short to hold grudges. Love, Mom. I read it twice. There was no real apology. No acknowledgement of what they'd done. Just vague language about differences and imperfection. I put the letter in a drawer and never responded. Daniel called a few months later. Used a number I didn't have blocked. Emma, it's me. Please don't hang up. I almost did. But curiosity won. What do you want, Daniel? Dad's not doing well. The stress of everything. His blood pressure is through the roof. The doctor is worried. I'm sorry to hear that. Will you come see him? Talk to him? I think it would help. No, Emma, please. He's your father. A father is someone who protects you, who supports you, who loves you even when it's inconvenient. Gregory was never that for me. He did his best. His best wasn't good enough. And I'm not responsible for his health or his stress. He made his choices. These are his consequences. I hung up. My grandmother Margaret called a week later. I heard Daniel reached out, she said. He did. Are you okay? I'm fine. I meant what I said. I'm done. Good. Don't let them guilt you. They had decades to treat you right. They chose not to. She paused. I'm proud of you, Emma, for building a life on your terms, for not settling for scraps. Thank you, I said. And I meant it. Victoria tried last. 2 years after the transplant. 2 years after I'd walked away. She showed up at my office building. Security called up. There's a Victoria Morrison here to see you. Should I send her up? No? Tell her I'm not available? 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't have saved but recognized. I'm downstairs. Please just give me 5 minutes. I stared at the message. Felt that old familiar pull. The desire to be the bigger person. To give them another chance. But I'd given them 24 years of chances. No, lose this number. I blocked her and went back to work. 2 years after walking out of that family meeting, I understood something fundamental. It was never about me. Their rejection, their favoritism, their cruelty. None of it was because I wasn't good enough. It was because they weren't capable of loving unconditionally. They only knew transactional love. Love that had to be earned, proven, bought. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn something they were never going to give. Once I understood that, the guilt disappeared. I redefined what family meant. Family wasn't DNA, wasn't adoption papers or legal obligations. Family was Patricia next door who checked on me when I was sick. Family was Lisa who celebrated every win and supported me through every challenge. Family was Christopher who loved me exactly as I was. Family was chosen, built through mutual respect and genuine care. Blood didn't make family. Behavior did. I won't pretend it didn't hurt. There were moments I grieved. Grieved the family I'd wanted, the parents I'd needed, but I never grieved losing them. The reality of them? Because the reality was I'd lost them years ago. I just finally stopped pretending otherwise. People asked if I got revenge. I didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves. They made choices, prioritized appearance over substance, enabled Victoria's entitlement, treated me like I was disposable. Those choices had consequences. My revenge, if you can call it that, was simpler. I built a life so full, so successful, so genuinely happy that they became irrelevant. I stopped needing their approval. Stopped defining myself by their rejection. Stopped waiting for them to see my worth. The best revenge wasn't making them suffer. It was building something so beautiful they could never touch it. I'm 30 years old now. I wake up in an apartment I love. Go to work that challenges and fulfills me. Spend time with people who actually care. I look in the mirror and see someone strong. Someone who survived. Someone who chose herself. The scared little girl who just wanted to be loved is still in there somewhere. But she's not afraid anymore. She's free. Thank you for listening to this story on Revenge Posts Within. If this resonated with you, if you've ever had to choose yourself over people who refuse to see your worth, you know how much courage that takes. Hit the like button, share this with someone who needs to hear they're not alone, and subscribe to Revenge Posts Within for more stories about finding your voice, setting boundaries, and discovering that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do.